I pulled into my street after a grueling day at work, my eyes squinting against the fading sunlight, only to slam on the brakes. My driveway, saw driveway was barricaded with garish orange traffic cones, a flimsy cardboard sign flapping in the breeze. Community property. Do not park. I sat there, gripping the steering wheel, wondering if this was some sick prank. I'd only been in Pinecrest Grove for 3 months, but this neighborhood was already testing my patience. With a groan, I stepped out, ready to toss the cones onto my lawn, when a voice sliced through the evening air like a knife. "Excuse me, what do you think you're doing?" Melissa Harper, the HOA president, stormed across the street, her perfectly coiffed blonde hair bouncing with every furious step. Her eyes blazed, and her manicured finger jabbed at me like a weapon. "Those cones are there for a reason. That driveway isn't yours to hog." I set the cones down, forcing my voice to stay calm. "Melissa, this is my driveway. I own this house. The deed says so." Her face turned a dangerous shade of crimson, and she snapped. "You're wrong. That's a community access easement, and I've already called the HOA and a tow truck. You can't just claim shared property." I stared, dumbfounded, as she spun on her heel and marched back to her pristine yard. Little did I know, this was just the spark that would ignite a war one that would end with police lights flashing and the whole neighborhood buzzing. 3 months earlier, I'd moved into Pinecrest Grove, thrilled to finally have a home with a wide driveway for my car and the occasional VY cider. The neighborhood looked like a postcard. Tidy lawns, quiet streets, a community I couldn't wait to join. That dream lasted about 2 days. Melissa Harper showed up at my door, clipboard in hand, her smile as fake as her tan. "Welcome to Pinecrest Grove," she chirped, thrusting a 12-page rulebook at me. "I'm Melissa, HOA president." Just a few friendly reminders about her standards. She pointed out rules on trash bins, mailbox designs, and even the exact shade of beige I could paint my house. I nodded, thanked her, and figured that was that. I was wrong. A week later, she was back, her face pinched with concern. "I noticed you've been parking in your driveway," she said, like I'd committed a felony. "Yeah," I replied, confused. "That's what driveways are for." Her smile was pure condescension. "Actually, in Pinecrest Grove, that area is a common access easement. Parking there inconveniences everyone." I glanced at my driveway, which led straight to my garage and nowhere else. "This is my private property," I said. Her eyes narrowed. "The bylaws are clear. Read them." And with that, she sashayed off, Leah VY me baffled. Things spiraled fast. Warnings started appearing in my mailbox, citing vague HOA rules about community access points. Then came notes on my windshield whenever I parked at home. Violation. Fines and towing imminent, scrawled in Melissa's sharp handwriting. I tried reasoning with her at an HOA meeting, but she shut me down, declaring, "The rules apply to everyone." Other residents squirmed in their seats, silent. Later, my neighbor Tom confided, "She's been terrorizing us for years. Last year, she had Dave VY Tage Mustang towed over its unapproved color. Took him weeks to get it back." I refused to back down, but Melissa upped the ante. One night, I came home from dinner to find my driveway empty, me car towed without warning. The next morning, I confronted her as she trimmed her roses. "You had my car towed from my own property," I said, barely containing my fury. She didn't even look up. "That's what happens when you hog what's everyone's," she smirked. "It cost me $300 to get my car back, and I was done playing nice." I drove to the county records office, where a sympathetic clerk handed me my property documents. "We see a lot of HOA disputes," she said. The papers were clear. My driveway was 100 fan tram, Menino easement, no shared access, nothing. Armed with proof, I marched into the next HOA meeting, handing out copies of my deed and survey. Board members nodded, but when Melissa saw the documents, her face twisted. "These are fake," she shouted, slamming her hand on the table. "That driveway's always been community property, and it stays that way under my watch." The room went silent, her allies too scared to speak. As I left, an older board member, George, whispered, "She's got them all spooked." but this isn't right. Then things got creepy. A camera appeared on Melissa's house, aimed right at my driveway. She screamed at delivery drivers for trespassing and photographed my friend's cars, threatening tows. It wasn't just rules anymore, this was personal. I filed complaints with the HOA management and the police, documenting her harassment, the towing, and her invasion of privacy. The officer taking my report's side. "We've had calls about your neighborhood before." 3 days later, Tom knocked on my door, glancing nervously over his shoulder. "I saw Melissa spray painting your curb last night, marking it HOA zone only. This is getting out of hand." I thanked him and ordered a security camera that same day. I installed it that evening, angling it to catch my driveway and curb. At 6:30 the next morning, it recorded Melissa sneaking onto my property, spray can in hand, defacing my curb with "no parking HOA enforcement" in bold blue letters. She glared into the lens and yelled, "It's not yours. This is for the community." I had her dead to rights trespassing and vandalism in HD. I downloaded the footage and called the police non-emergency line. They asked me to bring the EVY Denke to the station, and I was there in minutes. The officer watching the VY Deo shook his head. "This is harassment and property damage, no question. We'll pay Ms. Harper a VY sit." I wasn't home when they arrived, but my camera caught it all. Melissa was setting up her cones again when 2 cruisers rolled up. The officers approached calmly, but she went ballistic while VYing her HOA rulebook. "I'm enforcing community standards," she shrieked. "This driveway's neighborhood property." The lead officer's voice was firm. "Ma'am, we have proof this is private property, plus VY Deo of you trespassing and vandalizing. You need to come with us." Melissa's face turned purple. "Do you know who I am? I've run this HOA for 9 years. You can't arrest me for doing my job." But they could, and they did. As they cuffed her and led her to the cruiser, she screamed at the neighbors watching from their porches, "This street will thank me one day. I'm protecting your property values." The fallout was swift. Melissa faced charges of criminal trespassing, vandalism, filing false police reports, and harassment. The judge set her bail at due law $5,000 and issued a restraining order barring her from my property. At an emergency HOA meeting, the board voted unanimously to oust her as president. As the decision was read, Melissa's face contorted. "You'll all regret this," she hissed, glaring at each board member. She stormed out, slamming the door so hard the HOA's framed mission statement crashed to the floor and shattered. Pinecrest Grove hasn't been the same since. I park in my driveway without fear, and the neighborhood feels lighter, like a storm has passed. But Melissa's final words linger, and I can't help wondering if she's really done. What do you think? I go too far by getting the police involved? Or was it the only way to stop her? Should the HOA have stepped in sooner? Or were they just as trapped by her reign? And what would you have done if someone tried to claim Sawyer Saw property? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit that like button if you're Team Driveway, and subscribe for more wild neighborhood tales.